So guys, it's Halloween again apparently, and you might remember that this time last year I actually showed you guys Direct Action Zombies. Now Direct Action is the open world combined arms dynamic game mode that I've been making for a while now for ARMA 3, and well, I thought it'd be a bit of a meme to put zombies in it for Halloween, right? But the thing is, I was trying to force the zombie elements into it, and so this year I thought to myself, how hard could it be to actually build a proper survival horror game? And well, turns out actually it's pretty freaking hard. So the question is then, is Direct Action Zombies any good? Well guys, this is BillyEatWorld again. Let's find out. Alright guys, how you going? Welcome to the video, and just to catch anyone up that's never heard of Direct Action before, well, this is actually a project that I've been working on for a few years. We released it about 2 years ago, and as of now, I think it's got something like 150,000 subscribers on Steam. And basically, in a nutshell, it's my own spin on the capture the map style co-op game mode, similar to stuff you've probably played before like Anti-Stasi or Invade and Annex. Now, the big difference with this one is that it's specifically designed for small teams of 1 to 12 players, and it's balanced for almost every major faction mod that you can find on the Steam Workshop. So there's versions themed on the 2035 era, on Cold War, Vietnam, World War II, and even the Halo universe. And I think at this point, I think we've got something like 16 different maps supported or something like that. So the whole idea of just slapping zombies on, in theory, really wasn't that different from slapping any other faction mod together, except for the fact that zombies don't drive vehicles, they don't walk around in groups, and they don't use ranged weapons. So in practical terms, that meant a ton of redesigning, and that took a lot longer than I thought it would. Now, last year, for example, you'd only find zombies spawning on the actual objectives, but this year you're actually going to find them just about everywhere. And I actually built a cell generation system to handle all of that, like you'd see in Project Zomboid. That took ages. And not just that, but shooting your weapon will now attract the attention of zombies, and it also spawns more zombies. So that kind of encourages you to try and take zombies down a little bit more quietly if you can. Now, just before we go too much further, I just want to give a really big shout out to Webknight for the 2 mods that make all of this possible. And first up, there's obviously Webknight's Zombies and Creatures, which is probably, I'd say, the best zombie mod on the Steam Workshop for ARMA 3 right now. Now, not just that, but the star of the show is actually Webknight's improved melee system. And basically, that's what enables the zombies to attack you, and it also allows players to use melee weapons. And look, like most things in ARMA, it's a little bit janky and it's a little bit buggy, but it's also really cool. It's got a ton of custom animations, and most of the time it works pretty well. And most importantly, it makes this mode feel legit. Now, speaking of melee weapons, well, another big change from last year is that just like a proper survival game, weapons and ammunition are now limited in DA Zombies. You actually now spawn in a random house with nothing, and sometimes you're going to get lucky and you're going to find a gun straight away, and sometimes you're going to find a baseball bat and you're going to spend a lot of time with that and just that. Now, I wasn't completely crazy. To handle the loot, I didn't make my own arsenal system. I decided to use Jeroan's amazing limited arsenal system, which if you've ever played Anti-Stasi, you'll know is rock solid and it works really well. Except that I've actually made a few tweaks to it. In DA, it synchronizes with all of the arsenal boxes around the map, and it saves when the game saves, so you can restart the server and continue from where you left off later on. Now, just before I forget, I should mention that as well as zombies, just like in regular DA, you actually have to fight a symmetrical force, and in this case, it's enemy survivors. And they can be found at their own camps that you can capture and take control of, or they can also be found randomly patrolling around the map. Now, the important thing here is that the zombies are hostile to everyone. So if you run into an enemy survivor patrol, well, the gunfight is going to draw a bunch of zombies to the area. So watch out for tunnel vision, because you will get ambushed by zombies at some point when you're engaging humans. And sometimes the zombies will even help you finish off the humans, which is pretty cool. Now, that's a really good thing, because enemy humans are way more of a threat than the zombies are. And that doesn't mean you want to avoid them, because you actually want to try and loot their bodies. I've actually balanced DA zombies so that you really don't get that many weapons looting houses. So what you'll want to do is save up as much ammo as you can, and then ambush a human camp and steal their guns. Now, the gear that they spawn with is also leveled. So at first, you're not going to get modern guns. You're going to get stuff like bolt-action rifles and World War II era SMGs. And like I said, ammunition is also not unlimited. So even if you do find a really good gun, you might not be able to use it until you find the ammunition for it. And the best way to get ammo is by raiding human camps. Now, on the topic of limited stuff, well, another thing that in this update is now limited is vehicles. And like I said, you start with nothing. You're going to have to go out and you're going to have to find that first car. And mostly you're going to be finding civilian vehicles scattered around the map in randomly generated locations. And they don't respawn and they can't be repaired to full health, except for what you can do with a toolkit. So just like in games like Project Zomboid, you've got to look after your car or you're going to be walking, and most importantly, you won't have any way to transport your loot. But don't worry, because when you do stop the server, all your cars and any gear that's in them will save and load back in when you restart the server, so you can just continue from where you left off. Now, a lot of people have also asked, can you get military vehicles in DA Zombies? And the short answer is yes, you can, but they're actually pretty rare. There's actually a side mission called Repair Vehicles that sometimes pops up, and that objective will very often spawn armed military vehicles, and if you're very, very lucky, it can even spawn a helicopter. Now, not just that, but the human objectives will actually spawn armed technicals, so if you can manage to steal one, well, you can use that until you basically run out of fuel or ammo. But just bear in mind, vehicle-mounted weapons will attract a lot more zombie attention than regular guns, so you really don't want to use them unless you absolutely have to. Now, finally, just before we finish up, another thing that I want to tell you guys about with DA Zombies this year is that I'm actually launching it as its own standalone mod. And that's because basically, in a nutshell, uploading ARMA 3 scenarios is not only time consuming, but there's also very limited storage space available for scenarios. And eventually, if we keep adding maps, we're going to run out of space. So the new DA Zombies is just a very simple mod with all of the scenarios packed into it. And not just that, it should also automatically set up the mod dependencies you need to run with it. So if you want to play this one, all you've got to do is just download the mod on Steam, go to the server browser, host a local server, and you should be able to see all of the DA Zombie scenarios in the mission list as you usually can. And finally, the last thing I want to mention is that DA Zombies is still a work in progress. For example, you're going to notice that this release actually supports a few less maps than we've supported over the last year. And that's because this is a massive redesign and it takes a lot of time to test maps, and we just don't really want to put anything out there that's not going to be as fun as it once was. But with that being said, the framework for everything is still pretty much there. For example, in the background here, you can see a clip for DA World War II Zombies on the Normandy map. That's not ready for release yet, but it will be very soon. So make sure you check out the description of the mod on the Steam Workshop, or better yet, just join us on the Discord, and that way you'll be able to find out what you can and you can't run with this mod, and also we'll let you know of any updates as and when they come out. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps this one up. What do you guys think of DA Zombies? If you want to check it out, it's up on the Steam Workshop right now. I'll put a link to the Direct Action Collection in the description, and you can download it from there for free. As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to get in touch, you can find all my social links down below. And of course, as always, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for supporting my videos. And until next time, see you later, and have a good one.